searching, solving mysteries in the night. Chasing shadows, finding answers, shining bright light. No one's left behind in the darkness, all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be, for justice wheels keep turning, Granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. When these crime busters run, no victims left to pay. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voiceless and the missing, she'll stand tall.
Hello, hello, everybody. How is everybody doing this fine night? We've got Lori. Hello, hello. Mike. Hello, hello. Thank you. Ginger Girl. Prayer Warrior. Good to see you all. And Mike, that is so sweet of you. I appreciate that. Let me.
Granny wants to thank you all for kindness in the chat. Super stickers, bright and grand, gifts of love we understand.
Memberships you gifted here, spread the joy and banish fear. Every super thanks you send warms her heart and ends the end.
Granny cheers with love so true for each special thing you do. Thank you from her heart. You all play a major part.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys all do play a major part, and I appreciate that so much, Mike. Thank you. So, how is everyone doing tonight? Hope you're all doing good. Let's start out with my spotlight on the missing tonight. We have Jordan Brian Talbot, missing since yesterday, guys. Last seen in Loudoun County, Virginia, 16 years old. Jordan has a scar on his chin. That's the only information we have about Jordan. Nothing else out there. I'm just, if anybody knows anything about where Jordan is, please call the Loudoun County Police Department or 911. We need to bring our missing children home. Let's not forget about Jonathan Huang. They're still searching in the Kirkland, Washington area, guys. He is 21 years old, high-functioning autistic, does respond to his name. However, he cannot take care of himself, guys, so his family is very worried about him. So let's make sure he comes home. Don't forget about our buddy, Sebastian Rogers, $500,000 reward, guys. Sebastian, wherever he is, I still believe he's alive. Very hopeful about that and waiting for him to come home. Don't forget, Travis Decker is still out there. He's wanted for 3 counts of first-degree red rum and first-degree kidnapping. And that is for taking the lives of his 3 beautiful babies, Olivia, Evelyn, and Peyton, seen there with their mom. Travis could be deceased, but if he is, he's in the woods somewhere, so people can keep an eye out for him. They don't know. It's been over a month since he's been missing, so he could look like any of these pictures, clean-shaven. You know, the last he was seen, he had long hair and a ponytail with a beard and a mustache, so could look like any of this. They say if he is alive, he is armed and dangerous. Do not approach him. Just call 911. All right. So, see what we got here. $100,000 reward from a Florida dealership is being offered for Jonathan as of this morning. That's awesome. That is incredible. I, you know, since he presents himself as a 10-year-old, I would say that, he's probably still in that area, right? But his family doesn't know how he got to where he is because it's quite away from where he lives. So did somebody take him there and drop him off because they realized he's autistic? I mean, I don't know, right? We won't know until he's found. But yeah, very sad situation. So tonight we are going to watch the behavior panel, and they are going to look at Malehya's interview. And I'm kind of curious. We all have said that we seem to lean more towards statement analysis than we do behavior analysis, but it doesn't hurt, right? I'm kind of curious what they say about her behavior. It's the one and only interview she did, right? So we've gone over statement analysis for that. So let's just, for kicks and giggles, right? Let's look at the behavior analysis part of it, just to see what we can see. And let's see right here. All right. I did watch Scott Rose earlier today. He was, somebody had sent him a box of Meghan Markle's new stuff. And the only thing he liked was the shortbread cookies. Everything else, he was not a fan of. Lemon ginger tea and apricot spread that was really watery. It was kind of weird looking. And then flour sprinkles. I mean, he just was not a fan of. But he found out, he did kind of a behavior analysis on all three of these guys to see who sent it. And he figured it out. It was Chase. So, all right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to these guys as far as what Malehya.
Today, we're going to talk about Malehya Brooks Murray. She's the partner of Daniel Martell, and their children are missing. Greg, tell us about the videos we're going to watch.
Yeah, I believe they're stepchildren of Daniel Martell, but this is Lily and Jack Sullivan who are missing. This is their mother. She did one interview, and this is that interview. Very short. We're going to cut it into a couple of clips, and you can see what she had to say about the disappearance of her children.
Yes, there has been, Mike.
Just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us. And I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
So it's not the first time I've seen these videos, but first time I've spent any real time with them. I spent some time with Sadie on her channel, just quick looking and hip shooting. We don't control the questions in these conversations. So what we're doing is secondhand looking. So we have to look very carefully. So I took the approach to say, in interrogation, I typically spend about twice as long prepping as I do interrogating. And I spent about 10 minutes with each of these clips, this one today. This is an interesting one because if you just at the surface take it, it looks like a woman who's telling you her story where she's feeling like, hey, it's a bad situation. I'm sad. There's some grief muscle. There's some downright good eye accessing cues that tell us emotion. But there's something weird going on here. Did any of you guys notice the word "and"? Just quickly. Did you happen to count the numbers of ands? So in the first 10 seconds, there's one and. I miss them and I want them home. Okay, that's perfect. In the next 50 seconds are 9 ands. Nine.
Wow.
Might mean nothing, but it might also mean these are things I need to deliver in my story. So it immediately puts me on notice to pay really close attention to how many times she says and here, and then watch every other clip that comes up and say, is that baseline for her? Because she's from Nova Scotia. She's from a narrow little band of areas. And so I wonder about speech patterns and use of conjunctions and, as I would say, and. This is a lot of and. The cadence is odd. She shifts gears when she goes from talking about missing the children to talking about what happened to that and bump, 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 bump. There's a cadence. If I heard this on a 911 call, I would be concerned that somebody's giving me a story. And maybe that's what she came here to do, is to give us a story, because people who are marginalized and deal with law enforcement may have a different opinion. If she's been talking to protective services, she may have a story planned. So there's all kinds of reasons she could do it, but there's a lot of conditioning in here too. She tells a story and her detail is conditioned at every turn. I heard them playing, but I was drifting in and out of sleep. Not the kind of kids who go outside and we tell them not to go outside. Happen to get out the sliding door, we can't hear it when it opens. That's a lot of conditioning, instead of just saying, hey, we didn't hear them go out the door. They must have gone out and we were sleeping, something like that. So it doesn't mean that she's done anything. It means that I've got areas of focus. I want to turn over that rock and go after her. And this is in 1 minute of a clip. There's lots of tense change. I'm going to leave that to Chase, because Chase is usually on top of the tense change thing. She goes to real time, to current, to present tense when she's talking about going outside and looking for the children, and everything else is in past tense. Not her children. They're not in past tense. It's not what I'm talking about. And then the most pregnant thing I see in this entire thing, meaning I wanted to really dig in and pay attention to it, is she says they were outside playing. It's the only time we see her brow rise. So it's, for me, I'm not saying there's anything really, really brutal here that is telling me she did something to these children, and maybe she didn't do something. Maybe she knows something that she's not saying, but there's a whole lot of bizarre shift of gears from I miss my children to the and storytelling. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree. So I want them home and I want them home. That's the first and that we get. I think that and, just like you, I think that and is totally fine, because it's just she's run out of ideas and she's reinforcing the main idea, which is I want them home. This suggests she has a feeling that they can come home. So that's it. That's important. I want them home. There is a bitter taste in the mouth and lots of flexing in the throat. I think trying to control the tension in the throat there. Bitter taste could be disdain. I'll come back to why it might be disdain for I want them home.
Ooh.
Yeah, I agree, Greg. I didn't count the ands, but there were enough in that storytelling, enough to make me go, there's something important with these ands. It doesn't feel to me like she's trying to hide time, though.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
So we've got to go, so what else might these ands be about? And I think you're right, it's conditioning. So what is conditioning? I think it's all about the justification of we're not bad parents. And I think if you look at that story, there'll be this was happening, and here's a justification for it's reasonable that we didn't hear them. It's reasonable that they're outside playing. It's reasonable.
Oh my gosh. Guys, didn't we hear this in the Sebastian Rogers case, right? About trying to make themselves look good all the time, Katie and Chris. How many times? It was every interview, trying not to make themselves look bad. So let me see what you guys are saying here. Hello, Brenda Joe. Wow, you guys have been talking away. Okay. Let's see. All right. We were having some bomb threats at the airports today in Canada. Oh, that's not good. The world is crazy. It's awful. There was 2 mass shootings in Chicago last night. It's like, what the heck? 4 people killed in both of them. And yes, Mike, there are a bunch of shady and evil dads in so many cases. It's just crazy. FBI experts that train want the person in front of them so they can see their entire body, watch for foot and leg movement. Yeah, that's true. Greg on his own was sus about Daniel and then said he was not in this group allegedly, so wish she could explain that. Gotcha. Here's what bothers me. I really feel like these 4 are good. They know what they're talking about, right? But they stop short. It's almost like they're afraid on air to say that anyone might look guilty. And that bothers me, right? No. I think I know what you meant. You meant sus, right? Yeah, I think they are. I don't know any other reason why they stopped short. Because you can tell what they're you can almost tell what they're thinking, can't you? It's just very strange, right? If it is about being a good parent, I can understand that if the CPS is right there wanting to take your toddler. Yeah, but we've heard this too many times now. We've seen it too many times out of parents. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I think Malehya is guilty overall. I will say that I could be wrong, but I don't believe the story about her putting them in a car. I just don't see that. I really don't. But I mean, I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. But let's hear more of what these guys have to say.
Because I think if it is disdain, the disdain is around how other people will see her as a parent because she's lost her kids, and that's the problem. You know, you have these kids, you know, you care for them, and or society's idea is you care for them. So society's main idea is you don't lose those things, okay? And so I think there's a strong fear this will be looked upon badly. Now,
a strong fear that she'll be looked upon badly. I don't know. So here's my thought. If I had a missing kid, the last thing I'd be worried about is how people are looking at me. I want my kid home. You know, we see that in Seth, right? We don't care. And Seth doesn't care what people think of him, right? He wants Sebastian home, right? He doesn't care what people think. He just wants Sebastian home. You know, Belinda, even, I will say this. She could be worried about what people think about her son. She's not. You know, she doesn't care. She did set the record straight that he's not the same Cody that everybody's looking up. But she doesn't really, she wants Lily and Jack back, right? YouTube keeps kicking you out. I'm sorry, chemistry. I think Malehya comes across more genuine than Daniel does. Yeah, we only have this interview to go by, right? Daniel has talked and lied a lot since the first interview. You can be a good parent, but you can't be a perfect parent. I would feel like I failed my child and the world is going to see my lack of supervision. I wouldn't be thinking about that. Not right away. Maybe after some time. Especially after people started talking and be like, oh my gosh, you know, that would bother me then, but not in the beginning. That was my first interview. I wouldn't be thinking that way. I really wouldn't. But, I could be wrong. Maybe she's different.
But it doesn't seem to me in this storytelling to be at a narcissistic level about this is all about me. I think there is the tension between I want my kids back and it looks really bad that I've lost my kids and the societal pressure of that. So there's two pressures going on. Where are my kids? I want my kids back. And even just being on camera saying this looks so bad. And at the same time, I need to, and I mean, for me to say out loud that anybody would be worried about how it looks to other people. Of course, they'd be worried about how it looks to other people. And you want your kids back. There's so many conflicting things going on here.
The mainstream media is not broken at all. It is functioning exactly as it was designed. It exists to manipulate you, to divide you, to feed you fear and outrage.
Greg, tell us about the videos we're going to watch.
Yeah, I believe they're stepchildren of Daniel Martell, but this is Lily and Jack Sullivan who are missing. This is their mother. She did one interview, and this is that interview. Very short. We're going to cut it into a couple of clips, and you can see what she had to say about the disappearance of her children.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us. And
just quick looking and hip shooting. We don't control the questions in these conversations. So what we're doing is secondhand looking. So
Weird.
We have to look
They
very
started
carefully.
it
So I took the
all
approach
over.
to say, in interrogation, I typically spend about
Oh.
10 or about twice as long prepping
Let's
as I
get
do
past Scott.
interrogating. And I spend about 10 minutes.
Not her. She's like, they're missing.
Or Mark.
Oh my God, they're missing. I'm going to call 911. We should call 911. So that to me says a lot there that she was on top of it, coming right out of the gate. So for me, the qualifying she's doing, Greg, goes back to that what was going on. I think she's trying to tell exactly what was happening, maybe. So
I think she's telling a story. Whether that story is true or not, we can't tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you never know that. But so that's what that might be. But I'm not seeing any cues of deception, anything where she's looks like she's hiding anything. So, and to me, it sounds like what a real mother would say and do if her children were missing. Although I agree with you, Greg, that thing about and they were playing in the back, or they were playing outside and we can't hear them, when she would go back in and qualify those, but not the
bears. They have bears. Just remember that.
Oh, okay. But there's none of that big story we get on the front end, like we hear sometimes. And automatically we have to sit through a whole show, even with, we know from that first sentence where they go, like that woman who burned her house down and came in, she was in the gym. What was her name? Or she killed her husband?
Rebecca Fenton.
Rebecca Fenton. So anyway, there I was. I was in the house exercising, listening to whatever songs I was listening to. All this, 5-minute build up to, hey man, what happened? Yeah. So there's none of that. She gets right into it. So I don't feel like she's, at this point, I don't feel like she's done anything. And I feel like she believes they're still alive. Like Mark said, there's a chance for them to come home. She believes that they still may be around. Chase, what do you got?
So I think one of the things we can attribute those multiple ands to is 6 weeks of children missing means she has rehashed those details and that timeline 5,000 times with investigators.
This is the next day or days later, Chase.
Okay. Days later, she's done it dozens of times.
Yep.
3 or 4 police officers, a couple of detectives walk through.
No, she has not. This is day 2. She hasn't done this multiple times. What do you guys think? Okay, let me see what we got going on here. All right. I think Malehya comes across more genuine. Most Native Indians stick their own. Many don't trust white man, just facts. Mother behavior is like every Native Indian I know dealing with the tragedy and living 2 miles off a reservation. Could be wrong. When you are in a small village, you know you're going to face scrutiny. Actually surprised she's dating a white guy. I think, let's see, small town, everybody knows everything. No, he is not. He said, in fact, that she doesn't have narcissistic tendencies. Yeah, I didn't take it that way, Mike. No worries. Native Americans use the word sorrow. That's interesting. Okay, Mike. And she was surrounded by her family. Here's the one thing. I don't know if she said it yet. I think she did, but let's, at least so far, if she said this about they were outside playing, but we didn't know that, I'm surprised they didn't say anything about that, because that's a very odd statement, guys. How do you know they're outside playing? Why would you even say that? Because you don't, right? You don't know that they were outside playing unless they were. I mean, right? So yeah, that's the key. I mean, I think that they don't do enough research beforehand on their own for each one of them to talk about it. She would have talked to the search team, multiple officers, CPS workers. The dispatch said they were going back to get a better statement. Okay. Okay, I suppose. So let's finish up what he's saying then.
And they do that on purpose, even though the detective will come in and be like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to talk to Detective Flip Flop over here, but I want to go back through the process and kind of confirm the timeline. That's very common. And I think that may be one of the reasons that she's kind of developed a habituation of just kind of going through those key facts that she understood were relevant for the police officers. The second point here, and that speaks to what you were talking about, Mark, is that when people talk about the number one fear being public speaking, we always kind of see that on these things. We have no fear of public speaking. The fear is of judgment, of social judgment. But if you look at the actual hierarchy of that, your kids going missing is probably higher than that. That triggers more limbic system activity. So one of the first things I look for in any of these videos is the fear of judgment higher than the fear of missing children? And if it is, that means that the missing children, they either know what's happened or their children aren't missing. They were somehow involved in the children's disappearance, so they don't have that fear, which increases what we call performative behavior. And we are definitely not seeing performative behavior, lip licking, extra makeup, hair adjustments, all the things where she's trying to build rapport and shape the narrative and change how she's being perceived. We're not seeing that. So right here, we're seeing the fear of missing children higher than the natural fear of judgment.
Interesting.
That's all I got.
Let me ask you this. What's your temperature right now?
101.
101. So you coughing a lot or just like going, ugh?
Just a little coughing.
Yeah.
Like every half hour, I'll do Just an old big boy.
Make a scene.
Thanks for making it work. This is
Yeah.
a sucky day to do it.
Yeah.
I'm glad we do this on
Yeah.
Zoom.
So if
Me too.
anybody's wondering why my voice
Yeah.
is an octave lower.
It's not a bender. It's a
Yeah, it's not been up all night. Well, maybe you have. Are you puking at all?
No.
Okay, that's good.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware, someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
Should have worn your Hello Kitty shirt, Chase. That'd make you always wear that in your when you don't feel good. You should go get that.
Yeah, it's got a hole in it.
Okay. All right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah. Okay. So first off here, we get a whole bunch of positive comments about the kids. Yeah, which is really great. Often what we see or hear in cases where somebody has been responsible or knows something about the missing kids is that they will put out some negative ideas about them, almost kind of with an edge of kind of victim blame on them. Well, here we do get, they'll talk your ear off, which we've had from other people who were involved actually in the disappearance, where they've gone, you know, these kids they make a lot of noise, you know. And then she says, they'll speak to anyone in a store, everyone. Now, we could construe that as going, okay, so like they get themselves into trouble by talking to strangers, like anybody, okay? I don't think that's what she's getting at here. I think in Nova Scotia, where she's from, the culture is you talk to everybody. Like in downtown Toronto, and this is Canada, like if I go around talking to everybody, like I'm going to get myself into trouble. In London, if I talk to anybody I see, I'm going to get myself into massive trouble, massive trouble. Tracy, when I first knew her in London, she's from Nova Scotia. Well, her family are from Nova Scotia, so she has some elements of that. She'd smile at people in the park and say hello and whatever. I'd be like, don't get involved. Don't get involved. and this was in London, you know, City of London. Don't get involved with anybody else. Just don't. We don't need that. So look, I think talk their ear off and talk to everyone, anyone. Those are both positives. They're good kids. They're good social Nova Scotian kids. Okay. I appreciate the effort, she says. Okay, so but she says, and now there is a polite, gentle inference, I would say, that the police, the authorities, investigators could and should be doing more. But notice how polite it is, how politely she infers, like, get it together, tell everybody they're missing, come on, let's get this together. But she's being super polite about it. And you might go, why isn't she going, hey, come on, find my kids, because it's Nova Scotia. Like, you don't start shouting at the police. They're your next door neighbors. They're nice people. They're your aunts and your uncles, you know? So she is, in her way, asking for more help, which is important. Want them found, want them home. Everyone loves them. I mean, clear as day there. It's interesting, she talks about the possible autism, slower at school, needing more help. I picked up from just articles that are coming through on my feed that this family had been visited earlier by child services. And there seems to be some speculation around that. And of course, my guess is speculation is around abuse. If you have kids that aren't doing well at school, the last place they will ever want to be is school. Okay, so they will find every way possible not to go to school. Okay, and if you're a parent, you'll probably, knowing that they're having trouble, you'll probably help them stay off school a little bit. And the first indicator that any social services should be looking for is there some abuse at home, is why aren't they at school? But it doesn't mean that there's abuse involved. So it was interesting that she flagged that up.
What do you guys think about what he just said there as to why CPS might be involved? Let me see here. Every time I come back, you guys have talked and talked. Okay, so all right. There we go. Day 2, the criminal investigator came in and more statements were taken. That's true. You keep bringing up the gold chain. Yes. Lip licker and the gold chain wearing dude. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Sorry, disagree. If you are autistic, it is the fear of speaking, not knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it. And if kids are autistic, maybe mom is too. Could very well be. But I'm not willing to, they were never actually diagnosed with autism. So I don't want to go there. But we have seen that, and we went over this in a video a while back, that soothers, pacifiers, binkies, whatever you guys want to call them, using those, you know, as the child gets older, can cause speech problems. And, you know, so if they're not, I forget how it said, but anyway, that could be part of what is wrong with them. But again, we don't know because they were not officially diagnosed. She did ask right away. She asked for an Amber Alert. But there was no evidence of abduction, and they have said that if if during the investigation there becomes evidence of abduction, they will put out an Amber Alert. You know, they can do that in the middle of an investigation. That's not an issue. So it wasn't raining on the second day. It was raining the day that they went missing. I can totally relate about kids talking your ear off. My great nephew is 3 years old, and yeah. Hello, Truth and Beauty. Yeah, she said she heard them, from what I understand, early in the morning. Okay. We're talking my ears off? Yeah. You guys call them dummies. How many different names does a stupid pacifier have? That makes me laugh. You guys, I mean, and I think there was some other kind of name for it as well. Yep, we don't know that, do we? That's all hearsay. There is actually no evidence, no actual physical evidence that, you know, that the baby was taken away. We do not know that. Daniel said it. I'm glad Daniel said it, but Daniel has said a lot of things, and many of them were lies. So I'm not going to trust anything he says, honestly. Just not going to happen. They're saying she is being worried about judgment of others. I disagree with that, Granny. I feel it's more she has difficulty expressing her emotions, and it looks cold or indifferent to others. I could go with that as well, Neuro. I see her as being very introverted, very unsure of herself. That's the way she comes across to me. I also think that she's exhibiting traits of being a victim of DV, in my opinion. I mean, think about it. She's been isolated. Daniel didn't want to give her the address to Belinda. Daniel didn't want her to take the kids over to Belinda. What was Daniel worried about? But if any of you have been through DV, as I know some of you have, they will try to control you. They will try to control who you see. My ex complained about my family all the time. He didn't want me to spend so much time with them. Yet my mom babysat for nothing, and he didn't mind that, right? Yeah, no proof of CPS taking them. But I do believe that they were visited, and I'm not so sure that I agree with Mark. CPS, guys, I don't know if is CPS going to show up just because the kids weren't in school for a couple of days. First of all, they were in preschool, correct? So that's not a have to kind of thing, is it? Unless it is in Canada. You guys can tell me that, Ginger. If preschool is they have to do that, then maybe, but I just don't see CPS being there because they weren't in school. I don't see that at all. They're usually there for something worse than that, and it was because of the school. So yep, some kind of delay, right? I could honestly see Lily as having ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I see that in her. My daughter, a sucker. That is funny. Uh, I went to get 2 Jammy Rogers with my tea. My son has scoffed them. I don't know what you're saying, Lori. Fill me in. Individual education plan. Yes. And having suckers longer than they're supposed to can cause learning and developmental delays. So I'm just saying that. Very unsure of herself and lost, really. DV and maybe other abuse as a youth. Could be. Could very well be. I was extremely shy growing up, and my mother was controlling and abusive. Don't get me wrong, in the end, her and I were able to talk it out. I love my mother. I was with her when she passed away, so that's all well and good, but you don't forget the things that shaped you, who you are as you grow up, right? What are jammy dodgers? That's what's got me confused, Lori. What are jammy dodgers? And I love tea, by the way, but your son beat you to them. Yeah. Yeah. And see, guys, that's another reason why I felt it very unfair of everybody to go off on her for being at the beach. Because her friend said that all she did was sit around at home and cry. I actually can see Malehya doing that. I can almost see that in her. Now, was that news if she did indeed go to the beach that day? Yes, of course it was. It was the first time anybody saw her, right? Out and about, and of all places, the beach, right? Did she do anything wrong? No, there's nothing wrong with going to the beach. But I'm just saying, I think I could see her sitting home and crying all day long. So I understand why they were trying to get her out. I think it was wrong, actually, of the friend to post the picture if that's what happened. Some say it was a picture from when she was younger. Either way, that's no friend Malehya should have, in my opinion. I think the article said they were there because of the home environment. That has nothing to do with missing school. Yeah, I think that Mark is making a big leap. Jean Marie, hello, hello. I agree with you. I don't think the mom put them in a vehicle. I am thinking that it's just a cover up for what truly happened to those children. I tend to agree with you, Jean Marie. I everyone here knows that from the beginning I've not had a good feeling about those kids, and I'm not one that likes to say that. I have four-wheelers. Just because they are clean don't mean nothing. Oh, I'm right there with you, Mike. I had a wheeler for many years. We used to go mudding all the time. Whenever I got home, that wheeler was clean. You don't let the mud cake up underneath everything. You just don't. Your wheeler's clean. And yeah, and then the rain as well. She may have screamed because the singing happy birthday was sensory overload. Yeah, you know, all of a sudden everybody that loud. They're biscuits. Gotcha. All right, now I understand you, Lori. Sometimes you just have to spell it out for this old granny, right? Um, has sensory processing disorder. Oh, gotcha. Uh, my youngest, who had ADHD, was very loud, but she didn't scream like that. But then if she did, I would have shut her down. I mean, I didn't let her, I always tried to teach her what was acceptable and what was not, right? I had to teach her that same concept in 20 different ways before she grasped it. But you know what I'm saying? So I always taught her what was acceptable and what wasn't. Biscuits with jam in the middle. Oh, yummy. Hello, Sandra. Good to see you. Exactly, prayer warrior. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, what are you talking about, jammies? Because yes, we call jammies pajamas. When my kids were little, go get your jammies on. Truth and beauty. Hello, hello. Most definitely, she's been bullied out there. Yeah, exactly. I think so. She's like a ship lost on the ocean, directionless. To me, she appears to have no plans or goals. And they said that things with Cody, Lily, and Jack's dad were not good either. It makes sense that she picks the same type of guys, controlling, probably come along with the guys of I'll take care of you. You have nothing. I'll make everything will be safe. I'll make you feel safe. You won't have anything to worry about. Blah, 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 blah. Right. Because that's a pattern for DV victims, right? End up picking the same type of guys. I think, sometimes they can be Canadian, but my daughter, she's American as they come, and she loves her tea and cookies, her muffins. She has tea time. I mean, seriously, she should have been born in Britain. But I always loved tea too, and I guess I never had them with muffins or scones or anything like that, or biscuits, but I always loved tea too, and I think that's probably where she got that from. Those two girls claim there that they don't know if Lily's blanket was on the rail or trash. Part of the blanket was on the ground now or in a tree. Yeah, I think that. And then Daniel allegedly videotaped him opening up the trash to find it, right? So how did a piece of that blanket get in the tree? Number one, I'm just saying. So, they both could be right. The blanket could have been on the railing before they finally threw it in the garbage. I mean, typically a blanket is, even a little piece of it is, unless you have severe winds, is too heavy to just be picked up, So it would have had to been picked up by a bird or something, if that's the case, to get it in a tree and to get down where it was, which was not right on the property. The blanket must have grew wings. I know, right? In some provinces, preschool is mandatory, but if a child is attending, they likely would talk to the parents and not immediately go to CPS. Yeah. Really? So that's very strange. Here in America, preschool is not mandatory. You can keep your child home until they go to kindergarten. The blanket does seem to be a big issue. Yeah, well, Logan sure got testy about the blanket, didn't she? Here in Nova Scotia, we love our tea. That would be King Cole tea, not Red Rose. King Cole tea, not Red Rose. What the heck is King Cole or Red Rose tea? I've never heard of either one of them. All right. I will go with radio call an officer on possible part of the blanket. Yes. They pour on the BS at first, then they gradually isolate her. That's right. They don't do it all right at the beginning. About her crumpets and tea. I have one of those loser magnets on my forehead. I always attract the bad controlling head. Save her to stay single. I'm right there with you. I always said I cannot pick him, so I'm not even going to go there anymore. I'm done. My boy opposite had to buy him Happy July 4th shirt for tomorrow and in the UK. Yeah, I agree. The blanket and the boot print by the pipeline, those were planted, I think. Yeah, I'm not either. I think somebody needs to tell them they need to stop falling short of accusing anybody. Because it's not a good look. And it's so obvious, right? It's so obvious what they're doing. Super D. Leaping up in those trees. Yeah. Well, and nobody is infallible, right? I mean, everybody can be wrong about something, I just think it's always good to look at every aspect. We're learning a lot about statement analysis here, aren't we? I think that looking at that has really helped. I think there are some behavior clues that are also important, but I think I just want to know what those clues are. instead of listening to their interpretation anymore, right? Because they were ignoring lip licking with Daniel and shoulder shrugs. And I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The lid was shut, the bag was tied, and it wasn't burst. So how did a crow get it? That's why, here's what I think. Cheryl was told, probably by Malehya, that the blanket had been on the railing. They probably put it out there when it got torn down from the window, right? Because they said they had it on a window. Go figure. So maybe they laid it over the railing, and then maybe Daniel later put it in a bag. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just saying both of them could be right. Malehya probably told Cheryl that it was on the railing at one point. But I don't think it's evidence, except evidence of a lie, in my opinion. Yeah, Mike doesn't have to call him Mr. Yummy. I agree with you, Lori. When Logan was put on the spot about the dog, she was not prepared for that. And she all of a sudden had to go and get her kids. Now, in her defense, I will say she said she had to go get her kids before that. But she didn't want to talk about it. So the wind ties up the bag and puts a lid on. Yeah. Or the bears or the raccoons, right? We need to watch the old program, Lie to Me. He was a behavior analyst, but it was all fictional. Daniel did seem to be constantly on the move at the beginning of the search. I hope they had eyes on him. I know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is how did the part of the blanket get on a tree? Exactly. I agree. I think it was placed there. Here's the other part. Okay, so even if it was planted there, why on a tree? Those kids wouldn't have been up in the tree. I'm just saying, guys. Was it planted by the boot print and a bird took it up in the tree to make a nest? I mean, I don't know. I could see a bird grabbing it, a small piece of something, of a blanket, to make a nest. It is actually kind of interesting, the facial expressions that are common among deceptive people. Well, lip licking and shoulder shrugs, that's huge. Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree. Actually, even for an adult, sometimes those fibers are so, you know. At this point, any story is is probably, it could be anything. Maybe in the tree to be sure to be seen. Well, yeah, but then You know, you don't think our CMP is going to say, what is Lily's blanket doing in the tree? Right? You know, they're not going to pick up on that. Kids aren't going to be in the tree. You've never heard of a bird taking clothing for a nest? I have. I'll take all kinds of stuff. If it's laying on the ground, but not a big piece of it. I don't know how big this piece was, honestly. No, nothing like that. I'm just talking small, random little pieces. I don't know how big that that was, right? Yeah. Thank you, JDR. Birds do take fibers off the ground for nests. They're very industrious. Yeah. They'll take whatever will work for their nests. But it's not going to be a big blanket. You know, it's going to be a piece of something. Amen. Birds even use a dollar bill. Yep. They will. They'll use whatever they can. All right, let's continue on.
This is by the way, if you see the movement, this is Peach down here. There's Peach. Some people have said, I don't think Peach exists. Yeah, of course Peach exists.
Peach is big star during COVID.
Yeah, Peach is down there. And that is real emotion at the end there. I have an ability to put myself very to have low empathy, and so when I'm analyzing, I'll put myself at a very low empathetic level in order to just try and work out what is the behavior, not what are they causing me to feel. I felt empathy for her at the end, which likely means it's a real emotion happening there because I'm not able to cut it off very easily. Greg, what do you got on this one?
So let's talk about cadence. I'm not going to cover a lot of the same things, Mark, but what I will point out is you're right. When she's talking about positive, listen to her cadence, bam, 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 bam. When she starts to talk about things that are negative, like the children's difficulty in school, she navigates and she slows. When she talks about the Amber Alert, she slows. Good, because she's saying good things about these kids. If you're thinking about negative things like, you know, my kids are dead or gone, and you're not thinking of the positives of the children, even if you're saying positive things, it probably would affect her cadence. So good. That's good to see a variation in cadence, I think. She does pronoun shifts twice. Chase, I'm going to hand this to you because of pronouns. You're a big fan of pronouns too. So she says, we had people text me. Why? Don't know. It could simply be that that's a self-protective thing. It could be education. There's a ton of reasons, but I'll hand that off to Chase and let him talk about it next. And then there's another place where she uses the words we. Where did I see that one? We all want them back. We. She says I several times. She says we twice. So those are points that I would pay really close attention to and dig in a little bit and say, why is it we and I in different places? And the only thing in here that's negative to me that makes me want to poke a little bit, and it could be caused by emotion, it could be caused by her being overtaken by emotion and simply pausing, is there's a long pause for effect. At last night was one of the worst because I didn't have them in their beds. That's awkward. It is different from everything else in here. It could be because of feelings, but for just a minute, I'm going to say something I said to Sadie. Interrogator Greg is a lot less compassionate than regular Greg. Just think of this as an individual, as an interrogator. Sometimes we're aggressive and it's brutal in the interrogation room, especially when you're looking for children. So we would be a lot more aggressive with things like that question. I would be very aggressive with her and try to get to the bottom of it. Why did that change? I wouldn't ask her that outright. I would hammer her timeline, go back to those ands, because if you notice in this entire video, we don't hear that. That's gone. It is gone. So that storytelling in the first one with and, I don't care if she's done it 10 times. It's awkward because it disappears when we get down here to these details. So she would have my undivided attention because she's changed to a more smooth, fluid delivery about the children. That's good. To a slow halting when it comes to their learning issues. That's good. To a negative in slow halting when she's talking about lack of Amber Alert. That's good. But there are two things in there. Those pronoun shifts and that pause for effect would have me crawling all over her. And I've said this to Sadie sometime we should cover the difference in how much compassion we have for people in this situation and when we're the guy in the room. And I want you to remember that when you're dealing with a police interrogator, they might be the nicest, best people you'll ever meet, but they've got a job and that's what they're after. Chase, what do you think about those we's?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely some pronoun shifts going on there. And the first thing, if you hear a pronoun shift in any statement, is you look for context. What is it around? Is it around simple things or is it around some specifics? And the thing that she's getting the pronoun shifts around is communication and like the teamsmanship that usually happens between parents. And I think what's going on there, what we saw in the last video is there's a dynamic shift between them where they're kind of like separating from each other. They're not talking to each other anymore. And I think this pronoun shift is just kind of residue from speaking as a couple to speaking as an individual about certain things. And I bet they were probably talking to each other a lot and getting text messages at the same time. And she's probably speaking in her old way of speaking when a relationship was active at some point. And her being visited by CPS, I got visited by CPS when my son was in the first grade. He had a shirt he refused to wash, and he wore it for 5 days in a row. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. I don't care. You're in the first grade, but you will change your socks and underwear. So the next Monday, CPS actually came to the house. So I have probably some documented CPS visit. I just let him do it. I didn't care.
That's kind of a weird CPS visit, isn't it? I don't know. Guys, what about this this picture here? I couldn't help it. What is that picture? So that's the last approach she needs if a DV victim. She will go totally silent. I agree. They don't seem to be picking up on that, do they? I realize we're talking to 4 men here, but these 4 men should be well versed in DV victims, you would think, but they're not picking up on that, are they? Yeah, I think so too. She's in a protective custody arrangement, and that's why he's not supposed to contact her. Hello, twists and turns. Yeah. And at that point of the interview, she didn't know she wasn't leaving yet, right? Yep, they'll use dog fur as well. Yep, I've seen that too. But have you guys ever heard of CPS making a visit for wearing a shirt 5 days in a row? I mean, you change names again. What's up with you? Oh my goodness. They seem to never know much about the people they are viewing. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think they're just doing the show to do the show. But what do you guys think about that picture? I was watching him, and then, the bright colors behind him kind of hit me, and I'm like, what the heck is that? It's Tracy. Who is Tracy? Oh, that's you. Oh, oh my goodness. All right. Let's continue on.
But yeah, everything here is non-performative. She's being nice about the Amber Alert because she needs resources from the police. So she's not trying to act angry and act mad. She needs resources and help, and she desires it. So it's not a performative thing where she's trying to talk about all this stuff. And maybe there's something in Canada where an Amber Alert means an abduction. I think it means missing child, not abduction. I think it's a missing kid, period.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He's wrong about that. Wow. Okay. How can we as regular people know more about an Amber Alert than Chase does? My goodness. Yeah, I know. I can't make it out either. Let's see here. I don't think I can make it bigger. No, I can't. Right here. This picture. Look like a bunch of flowers. Maybe a bird. Looks like a beak there. And then all this, some fur here. I don't know what this is. I don't I don't know. Yes, JDR, he is wrong. An Amber Alert is about abduction. And that's why they, so actually, I'm looking it up here. Okay. So we're here. Summary of Department of Justice recommended criteria for an Amber Alert. There is reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred. The law enforcement agency believes that the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. There is enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction for law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert to assist in the recovery of the child. The abduction is of a child aged 17 years or younger. The child's name and other critical data elements, including the child abduction flag, have been entered into the National Crime Information Center. So that's the first part of it. There's a reasonable belief that an abduction has occurred. So yes, he's absolutely wrong there. It's not about him. I mean, it's not just about a missing, because think about how many missing children go missing every single day. How many Amber Alerts will we get? Yeah, he really is out of touch. That's pretty sad. I think I may put something underneath this video. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's professionalism or just lack of knowledge, right? Has it got a horn? I don't know. Some people's art is some people's comedy. That's true. Yep. I think we do. And, that's because most of us who really are trying to stay drama free, we're trying to learn and educate as much as talk about the situation, right? I mean, I would be embarrassed, honestly, if I came on and like Chase and said, well, an Amber Alert is about missing kids, isn't it? I would be so embarrassed. Oh my God. I'd be really embarrassed. Hello, Katie. Or Kate. I keep wanting to call you Katie. It's Kate. Sorry. I think so. I think so. Yeah. Yeah. They're not even picking up on it. Right. Which is really sad. That's really sad. I think we've seen enough of this one to know that they're not going to give us really anything that we don't already know. I mean, I think we have got Malehya pretty well pegged, don't we? We think that she's a victim, right? She's definitely a victim of DV. I honestly believe that Daniel isolated her, mentally and emotionally abused her. He is still trying to mentally and emotionally abuse her, because I'm going to show you guys so this was part of what he was talking to Belinda about earlier. And he was talking about this interview that he was going to be doing for CBC. And he said, I think after that comes out, the world will turn on Malehya. What does that show? That tells me that he is trying to make Malehya look bad. Hello, Walla. Yeah. Assumptions and generalizations and just, yeah. No, this was earlier. But I picked up on it today because somebody else was talking about it. And actually Ginger showed it to me. And so, but he was talking about this interview that he was going to be doing. But then he said, I think after that comes out, the world will turn on Malehya. Really? That's a good point. Was Daniel standing close to her? I agree. Due to my own life experiences, when she left, I believe she was afraid of him to some degree. Yeah. I agree. I agree with you. Because when you're trying to get out of a DV relationship, you are afraid, aren't you? And that's the worst time. DV victims have gotten killed for trying to leave. So, that's not far off at all. Why would you want the world to turn on the woman you claim to love? He's trying to throw blame her way. Take all the eyes off of him. I'm just saying. And why? Why is he trying to take the eyes off of him? Are these messages confirmed to actually be him? Yes. Well, this is his, I know it's blurry, but this is his Facebook page. So, yeah. If she was surrounded by Daniel's family, it would be a horrible situation to be in. So while the thing that I would say is it is his Facebook page. It's even the one where he has a picture of Malehya or Meadow on it. It's that page. So if he didn't write him, somebody else had his Facebook and wrote it. So, that's why they have to leave quietly. Sure was someone would ask the enabling grandmother if her deadbeat son was ever asked to take a polygraph. Ask that and you get blocked. Well, it was, didn't RCMP put that out that everybody had, there was quite a number of polygraphs given? Do I have an email address? Yes, it is right here. Yes, he's guilty. The kids weren't his. There's a reminder of Malehya's past relationship. You can't read it on your phone, too small. Just put it in the thing. Is that better? Are you able to get it that way? Yeah, Mike, they did. One about the blanket and why Daniel lied about it, and two about Meadow and her going with Logan. But there's no proof that those were what the altercations were about, is there? That's true. They do. They do. No, Bobby, unfortunately, there's not. I wish there was. I wish there was. About any of the missing children, actually. Yeah, no worries, Neural. RCMP won't use resources on things where there is no evidence. Yeah. Well, and they're not going to, listen, guys. Mr. Bewitched, those of you who don't know who he is, Darren or Durwood. If what he said was true, don't you think the RCMP would have those kids by now? I'm just saying. If it was that easy, they would have had those kids by now. So, no offense against Mr. Bewitched, but he was fed a bunch of lies because and he was doing it for Daniel, in my opinion. Right? No, it was never confirmed about Meadow, whether she was taken away or in CPS care. So that's true too. If that was really true, they would have put out an Amber Alert as well. Oh, definitely. I mean, they can't, for goodness sake, even Seth could not get the CPS reports. They would not give them to him. He had to get a lawyer to get those CPS reports. And they were for his biological son, who he has joint custody. And they wouldn't even give them to him. So there's no way they'd be talking to Mr. Bewitched about anything. There's no way. Yeah. So, yeah, people have rights. They can't override rights without evidence, you know. And the RCMP, are they perfect? No, but they have done so much more. They have done 1,000% more than Sumner County has done for Sebastian in 8 weeks. I mean, it's amazing, you know. So I think they know, and sad to say it, but Daniel's an avid fisherman. My opinion. He would know where to put those children so they're never found. That's my opinion. If Malehya was on the run with the baby, exactly, they would have put out an Amber Alert. Yeah. And Daniel wouldn't get anything. Well, unless he's involved. Lori, if he's part of the CPS complaint, he would know what's going on. Right. Yeah, I really feel like they're going to solve it. I think somebody's going to break. Waterboarding works. Bobby. Oh my gosh. Well, RCMP, are you hearing this? I really hope that they do. I hope that somebody's going to break. Because I don't think the kids' bodies are findable. If that's a word. I don't think it is, but I think you know what I'm saying. I think they're in the ocean. That's what I think. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. But he's an avid fisherman. He would know exactly where to go. Right. That's a good point, Lori. Daniel will be told nothing from the police either. He's not the bio dad. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's sad to say that, isn't it, guys? They were confirmed seen the day before on video with family in which town? I can't remember the name of the town. A gun. Janie's got a gun. Or rugs. Probably an unregistered one. AK. I mean, I don't know. Yes. Well, we want closure, don't we? I mean, we want some kind of answer for what happened to these precious babies, right? We need an answer for what happened to these two. I look at Lily's little eyes and I just melt, guys. No, it wasn't Truro. New Glasgow? Does that sound right? It was something like that. Let me see if I can pull it up on Google Maps and see what it was. So, Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. All right, I'm looking. New Gairloch? I don't know. I don't know for sure, guys. It was something like that. New Glasgow. I think it was New Glasgow. It'll be a little ways away, but I think that's what it was. But I could be wrong. Mike, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hey, we're not putting up with you. We're enjoying your your conversation. We all appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And this time you're just going to get a thank you from my Lacey. All right, hold your cats, guys. Thank you, thank you. And look at Ginger Girl's mom. Member for 6 months. Awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. See if I got. So it all had to happen with a span of like 12 hours. Yeah. I mean, it's only a 3-hour drive to. No, it was an hour and a half to the Bay of Fundy from where they lived. So that's 3 hours there and back. Spend a half hour. I'm just saying. I got my yard work done, house clean, flowers look great. Awesome. I honestly believe Daniel is a narcissist. He's portraying Malehya, and yeah. And we don't know that she has any kind of mental issues. I think if there's only any issue with Malehya, I think the worst is being a victim of DB. You know, that's going to mess with your head, definitely. But yeah, it's, yeah, wrong on so many levels. It really is. Really is. He's really painting her in a bad, bad, bad light. And there's a reason why he's doing that, in my opinion. And I did this grannyism today, kind of thinking about behavior analysis. You were never taught how to speak with your face like you speak with your words, right? We're taught how to speak, right? But we're not told how to control our facial expressions and things like that. So that's why watching people's behavior can be important. Oh, 45-minute drive to get to open water. I knew it. You even mowed 2 times in 6 days to make everything look good. It says a lot about his character, absolutely. I'm 3 years out of a DV relationship, and although I'm much better, my head still isn't right. Oh my gosh, prayer warrior. I am, let me think. Let me just think here. Um, so I am 12 years out. And my head's still not right. So, I mean, I don't think it's something you'll ever forget, right? And like I said, I wouldn't, of course, 66 years old. I'm not even going to think about dating again. But even if I wanted to, I won't, because I know I can't pick them. I don't trust my judgment. That's a really good point, Bobby. Most of the time, when one can't keep their mouth shut about someone else, they're usually the one that's in the wrong. Very true. Very true. Abusers do that kind of thing. A Looney Tune. It's true. So first, don't be mad at Malehya. Then Daniel says the whole world will be against her. Yeah, that is gaslighting. Big time. Big time. So yeah, he did something happen to the children accidentally. I still think about the dog a lot. I still think about Justin crying. I kind of wonder what's up there, right? And instead of calling the police and doing the right thing, they got rid of him. That's what I think happened. I hope I'm wrong. That's just my opinion. I have no facts to back that up. Yeah. From the get-go, him and his gold chain. Ugh. Yep. They bring you down. You begin to question yourself. They degrade you, make you feel worthless. They say no other man would look at you. Yeah. I agree. I agree. 100%. Why is it so similar to Watts? Because of where Watts put his kids, in an oil drum. You know, if Watts hadn't talked, I wonder when they would have found those kids. You know, if you think about it. I agree, Bobby. I agree 100%. And on another note, with another person I don't even want to think about is Brian Koberger. Took the lives of the 4 young students in Idaho, pled guilty after putting those poor innocent parents through all of this for the last 2.5 years. Oh, you know. But thank goodness he's going to be locked away. No chance for parole. He'll never be able to hurt anybody else again. That's the only good thing about it. Yes. You know that they're watching everything he's saying. Yeah. If you look at the pictures of Malehya before she got with Daniel, night and day. Night and day. She took care of herself and her kids. Yeah. They got rid of the children in the most crazy way. If Watts didn't confess, well, I think at some point, don't they empty those barrels? Those kids would have came out those holes at the bottom, I think. Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He had no remorse whatsoever. His eyes, scary. Really scary. You know, the sad thing about Brian, I honestly am not sure how I feel about the death penalty, but the one thing that I think about is that he's going to be alive. His old professor, Dr. Ramsland, who interviewed and wrote a book on the BTK killer, wants to interview and talk to Brian now if he'll talk to her. And guys, I don't think we need to celebrate that. I don't think we need to know what makes Brian Koberger tick. And the only reason that could happen is because he's still alive. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I I understand why she wants to. She said she has certain information about the things that he wrote that she can't talk about. That only she could ask him, right? But do we as the public want to know that? Yeah, the lead search lady believes this. Yeah, I don't agree with her at all, Mike, at all. Yeah. Yeah, he's still not all that, Lori. they were already deteriorating from the oil. Will the oil, would it have totally, I mean, I don't know. Does oil break down the body? So not by the book. Yeah, but you know, it's going to be all over the news, right? It was all over the news when she interviewed BTK. Yeah, he's a total monster. I know, right? A little bit too little, too late. And did you see that he wore the same shirt that he wore the day after, I mean the day that he took the lives of those kids after he showered? He had on a shirt and he was posing with thumbs up in the bathroom. He had on the same shirt when he pled guilty. He does things purposely, guys. Just weird. Yep. You know, and that's the thing. They're going to do the same thing with Brian, and he's going to enjoy all the attention. You know, so part of me thinks he should have got the death penalty for that, so that we don't have to hear about him anymore, or very little anyway, right? Lori, search lady hasn't recovered from tick bite. She's delirious. That's funny. Oh yeah, there's people that think he's still innocent. And oh, you mean BTK? Yes, he is. He is. Always thought that if they were in the woods, they would be found under a town tree or something because of the rain the first night. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the Idaho police, I mean, they did an excellent job in nailing him down. Um, you know, I know that the Gonzalez family is not happy about him being able to have a plea deal. They are not at all. They even said, you know, on July 23rd is his sentencing, and the victims get to speak. And Kaylee Gonzalez's dad has said that they're probably not going to be there. They said, what for? It doesn't matter. So I don't know. Oh, I'm sick of hearing Daniel lied because he loves Malehya. Yeah. Yeah, he's celebrating. He did it on purpose. It's like wearing a hockey jersey with the number of the MVP. I agree with you. I agree with you. Taking the thumbs up in front of the shower after he did that was like, haha, I got away with it. You're talking about Chris Watts? Yeah, he had a baby Nico on the way as well. I don't know. Crazy. I hear you, Neuro. I hear you. All right. Well, I think that's going to call it there for today, guys. Thank you so much. Hello, trees. Sorry, we're just gonna cut it off for today, but nice to have you here. Thank you for stopping on in. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Okay, that really does help the channel grow, guys. I appreciate it so much. And I think I'm going to take tomorrow off since it is the 4th of July in America. Probably just going to be doing a little bit of working, but so I don't think I'll be live tomorrow night. But be sure to hit the notification bell just in case I change my mind. So you guys have a great night. We'll talk soon. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granny'scrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.